Hey folks, and welcome back to Endless Legends with me, PPG2. Before we get started with this video today, I figured just a quick disclaimer, or rather announcement of sorts. We had a slight problem with the video feed where the episodes 5 to 7, I believe, were renamed originally from 3 to 5 or something like such. Anyhow, I went through the videos and I updated them by the turn count at the bottom of the screen here. So just sort of an FYI on that. I think about only like 300 views were affected. It was really rather early on my release schedule, so I apologize for that. So anyhow, we are here. It's turn 61, and we're back on the map. We control 3 zones currently, and really we're just sort of pushing forwards through the campaign. So I remember having an objective here. Let me see where it is. We still have a current objective. We're still doing this data collection one, and in the meantime I've done a few things. I've researched into the game a little bit, so today I want to show you guys a few new things. However, I seem to run into a stall inside this faction quest line at one point. So, inside this faction quest line, so we built those 2 extractors. Now that is done, we're starting to get some of that, some of this stuff, some of the dyes, and some of the titanium from the lands over here, so that's pretty good. And we're really just supposed to defend this territory. So it's currently winter, as you might imagine. Our movement speed is reduced to half of what it is here, so Petrov here unfortunately can't move as fast. And I'll just try to bring her over here. All we really had to do is just pick off this one roaming army unit, I believe. Yeah. And currently I'm researching advanced alloys and advanced armor, because I'll show you guys how those things play a role in the game later on. So with all of the videos switching around, I mean, I had to go through the videos and check for the individual times and a whole bunch of the footage that I have here. So excuse me for that, as I don't know exactly where we are like precisely, but anyhow, I've messed around with things a little bit here, and we've unlocked a few techs, namely because we have access to those 2 specialty resources now. I think we'll actually research advanced alloys, advanced armor, and the advanced filigree techs here in a little bit. So I'll queue those ones up, and as you can probably tell, we have access to the second tier of technologies now, so that is good. One thing about the game currently, it actually does not, as this sort of like gap between these icons might imply, currently inside the early access copy of the game, the eras 6 and 5, or 5 and 6, haven't actually been completed, so there aren't actually any techs available there just yet. One other thing is that, now I'm just speculating, but I would imagine that this entire circle has to be filmed once the game is complete, so maybe perhaps they'll add a few more texts here and there just to sort of round out the other sections as well. And my reasoning for that is because currently some of these ones look really bare, and they said they'd add like 40 or some texts, and usually, I mean, these sections, like on average, I would say have about 5 technologies, 5 or 6 texts inside them. So well, actually no, that would still be 40 right here in these 2 things, so I don't really know about that, but yeah, I guess we'll just go with it for now. So, we're going to be researching different types of armored stuffs now, and because we have this whole landmass advantage here, I figured we'd press forwards and really take the fight to the enemy for a little bit. We also had to do some scouting, so I'll get Iron Legion to do that right here. So, continuing from here, let's take a look at our towns, and let's take a look at what we can do for assigning work orders here. So we've already done a fair amount of economic stuff. I think I'll do a few more, just very briefly, and I'll do Dust Dredger over here, and I'll speed production on those 2. I'll do public libraries over here, speed production on both of these, and they should be just pretty much finished in one turn. And I'll just do a whole bunch of these really quick production things for us. to use. Oh, I figured out that the borough streets here, the things that we use to expand the cities, you cannot only build one of them per every 2 population you have inside the towns. For this town right here, the enemy capital that we had managed to nab, I'm actually going to put down another borough streets here, mainly because this will get us access to those wild animals and that mass pearls swarm, and this is just all food and currency, a lot of good stuff to expand our towns here. And yeah, pretty much that is that. We've pacified the city inside here, which is good. And evidently there will be a trade feature inside the game. You know, I haven't noticed that just yet. Well, what I mean by that is, I think we've already shown you. I've already shown you guys the marketplace for the game, but I believe later on you'll be able to set trade routes a la I want to say like Sins of a Solar Empire style, where it's just like miscellaneous units moving back and forth on the map, but I don't know about that exactly. So, I'm going to research those texts, and our scouting unit's going to make their way around. In the meantime, we're just going to accumulate some research, get some production done, and pretty much just blitz those things here. Oh, there's another little wandering faction. We're going to take that out, and we're going to get Petrov to do that for us. And it looks like the winter is starting to calm down. Looks like no, or maybe not. Looks like the storm effect only picks up when I zoom into the map. So yeah, I've been getting these production areas set up. I think I'll do a mill foundry here too, because this one gives us extra production. And this is mainly because I want to start to get ready for battle pretty much. I want to start to move my economy so that I can start to pump out, say, Marines in 3 turns instead of 5. And one thing that you guys may have picked up on, I'm not really sure if I talked about this, but since I put 1 unit into, or rather 45 influence points into my empire plan here, I'll show you what that does. That lowers the amount of money or dust I have to actually spend in order to buy out these buildings, making it very useful for me just to be able to sort of snap out those things like such. Now, Petrov should be able to attack here in just a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, so a lot of construction is going on, and I've played this game up. I've played this a little bit more in my own little campaign here, and one of the things that I've noticed is that these beetle things over here, the necrophages, are actually surprisingly deadly for what they're worth. And with that sort of said, I want to get rid of them very, very fast, and it's sort of the reason why I want to start to move towards combat. Like I said, I mean, I did read up into the manual a little bit, and the one thing that I just cannot figure out is what the heck these capacities actually do. I mean, granted, a lot of them are self-explanatory, but the problem is that some of them, like charge, like, I honestly have no idea what they do. The manual does not have an appendix or just any information about them, and furthermore, I mean, it's like pretty vague. You can't do the little tooltips, which I mean, these guys, they do really wonderful HUDs, and I really don't know why they missed that part. So yeah, we'll finish this data collection quest, and every single faction, I'm told, will have one of these special quests that you can do to unlock some specialty tech and to give you a few special what's it called, some lore information, some special technologies. And one of the ones that we get for our faction is this winter shelters thing. So it'll want us to build, it'll start up another quest. It wants us to build a winter shelter inside our capital, and it'll give us some lore information about how our faction is formed and how things go. Usually I would say that, I mean, I wanted to have a section where we just read over the quest line stuff later on, but for whatever reason, I've tried to build this winter shelter in City Improvement in my other games, and for whatever reason, I mean, I just can't get it to work. So I hope that this little briefing will tell me here. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not going to narrate any of this, mainly because this is a lot of dialogue, and I just don't really want to do it. Okay, that didn't tell me much. So anyhow, that'll finish one more quest, and it looks like we did quite a few quests already. But the main thing is that I just want to move the story forwards by completing those. So we'll see what we can do there. In the meantime, I do believe these necrophages are actually at war with us, so I want to see whether or not we can just sort of attack them. Where is that diplomacy menu again? I cannot seem to... There we go. Yeah, so they are at war with us, and what that means is I'll get Petrov to make a move and attack these necrophage, necro drone monsters. The thing about these guys is that they seem to be really rather damaging at 42 attack. So yeah, we'll definitely want to deal with them. And going from there, we are going to need some more troops to deal damage to those guys. So, I mean, our tech is going on fine. And currently, I do believe technology is the one thing that we really want a lot of, so I'm going to put everybody into tech production right now. Yeah, pretty much. I'm just going to put everybody into tech. And my reasoning for this is because currently we need some better infantrymen. And in a second here, I'll show you guys the in-game customization options for your troops in just a little bit. I'm going to leave one person inside this town just so that the people don't run out of food. Don't need to buy that anymore. And we will just end the turn. Yeah, because those necrophages seem to be really strong, and they seem to unleash, the AI seems to be able to unleash like a wave of units on you. And obviously I don't really want to suffer the wrath of that. So I want my guys to bounce around here and check out the surrounding tiles. So that's good. Yeah, and what I can do here is that in the tech tree, wherever it may be, I don't think I've actually researched this miscellaneous item section, and I think I'll just finish advanced armors, and I'll then research our one of our unit chassis, which are the Titans. So yeah, we'll do that, and end the turn. And perfect, I want to say, yes, it is spring. Perfect. So yeah, that'll make everything move a little bit faster now, which is just absolutely fantastic. Now, research is still going on, and we just want to finish that tech. But afterwards, we'll try to take to the offensive, and we'll try to do some damage to the AI factions. So yeah, namely these guys will actually send these swarms of these bee things at us, and they are really rather deadly for what they're worth. And I really just want to push them back. Ooh, spice deposit over here. That'll give us a luxury resource that we can use, so we might actually just want to blitz these necrophages for that resource as well. And in addition, that'll help us complete this Master of Luxury task. So, I'm going to press forward here, I'm going to end the turn. And those beetle things might attack us, or they might flee. Let's see what they do. Yeah, they're gonna fight our single marine unit, and unfortunately that's gonna pick off our scouting unit. The main thing about them is that they are just, they're kind of deadly like that, where they'll be able to pick off our units, and these guys, they seem to be able to produce them really fast, like. In the meantime, I think I'll get our... I think I'll get my settlements here to produce a few marine detachments, and we'll send them in the fight in a little bit. I think I'll just fast forward this borough streets here because we really want to get our cities up. And that'll be the end of this turn pretty much. There we go. So that'll expand Laustal here by, or Laustal by quite a little bit, and that'll give us access to the food and production modifiers over here, making that really rather handy. Moving from here, let's see, we're going to need one more turn for research. So we're going to switch these guys into production, and they're going to be pump out marines every 2 turns, which is going to be good. Come on, Titan production is going to be done, and perfect. Alright, so I think I'll put the game back on researching items for us, and the reason I'm doing so much stuff into items is because to fight these necrophages, we will require quite a few different items and stuff and such, and I'll show you guys why once we jump into this battle. So, they have these flying little bug things, and I'm under the impression that they're fairly cheap to actually buy, but the main thing is that currently they just do so much damage to our units that make them really rather impervious to a lot of things, and namely, they seem to to move pretty fast too. For what they're worth. Oh. Excuse me, folks. Yeah, so luckily we've started off the game with these guys being at half health, but even at half health, they have like 72 points worth of health. So we want to pick off these guys, and we just really want to get rid of these bugs before they can do any serious damage. So I mean, while they have low defense, if you watch them here, as soon as they hit our guys, it just does a massive wave of damage, and it looks like they'll probably kill off one of my vine snakes here right off the bat. That's actually going to take him out, but he can do an attack anyways, and he's still going to do quite a little bit of damage. So yeah, we want to tech up, and we want to get a few more infantry units out there, simply because it looks like, for what it's worth, our faction doesn't actually start out with a basic infantry unit. Now, we are sort of compensating in that regard, because we do have a lot of these vine snakes that we can buy. But yeah, these necro these necro bugs are effectively able to whittle down my marine squad in just one hit, pretty much. I mean, technically they'll need 2 to kill off our guys, but remember that in one turn there's 2 turn resolution, where there's 2 little action phases per unit. So there, that'll hopefully get rid of them. But that does quite a little bit of damage to our army too. Now our guys are gonna reassemble over here, but now that we have those titans, let's take a look at them, and let's take a look at how we can build units now. So, of course, I mean, we can build our units from this list just sort of as is, but actually, this game, I didn't know this until recently, the game actually has a unit building system, sort of in the vein of the Fallen Enchantress series of games, I want to say. You know, to be frank, I haven't played that, but it seems fairly similar to that, from what I can tell, just going off of what footage I see there. So, yeah, we have a few different unit hulls, as I like to call them. They're just sort of the basis for our guys here. And we can take, say, the Titan. You'll see here that a lot of, like the heroes themselves, these guys will be armed with items, and namely, a lot of the in-game units just sort of start out with the basic items. So, for the Titan, looks like this thing is just pretty much a giant walking robot thing. We can, of course, just sort of equip these guys with different items, and we can make them much more efficient by doing that. So we're going to take the Titan, and we're going to edit it, and because we've researched those 2 techs for armor and weaponry, we have a large section of different armory goods now that we can buy for our troops. And notably, these items will be split up into different tiers of items. So, starting off, because we're inside the second era, I believe we get the tier 2 base goods, and all they do is that they're pretty much a straight improvement off of the tier 1 goods. So, the main trade-off is that these things will cost a little bit more production points to buy, but I mean, that's worth it if you can get a few really, really good units, especially due to the cap of 4 units per little group here. So, we have this guy has a tier 1 iron hammer. These titans they seem to be our tanky units because of their high defense. They're decent life. They actually have a decent speed, but they have a really low initiative, meaning that they'll probably attack last during battles. So here's what we're going to do with these guys. We do have these tier 2 goods, which are just effectively things that are slightly better than tier 1 goods, but with the specialty resources like the titanium and the glass steel, these resources will give us special tools or weapons or craftable things that that are better than tier 1s, and they're comparable to 1 tier above it. So for example, a tier 1 hammer made out of titanium has 3 damage and 4 critical, technically 5 critical, and as opposed to like the tier 1 thing that we've been using, it is a little bit more than that. So, what we can do is that we can take this item and we can just sort of pluck it here. And the general basis for this is that the different types of goods here all have, each and every single one of the available resources all have their own sort of trait. The thing about titanium is that it'll give us increased critical damage, which is kind of neat because it'll give our chances to do a little bit more damage, so that's good. And glass steel over here will increase the initiative of our units, so if I put this thing here, it'll give him initiative of 6, but as you can probably tell, the critical thing drops, and I don't believe it, or no, it actually does a little bit more damage. Now, currently we are just absolutely rolling in the blue stuff here, but we don't have a lot of glass steel. And as you might imagine, I'm probably going to use the titanium a lot more, simply because we have a lot of it. So we have the option of going with these things, these claws, or alternatively the hammer. Let's just check out how they work. So the claws have a higher critical and a higher damage, and well, actually no, the claws are just better in general, but they cost 2 units of the ore stuff rather than 1. Let's see. If we give